Drew here with another African violet video. Overwatering is the biggest mistake often made when keeping and caring for African violets. I want to share with you a great tip for knowing when to water your African violets. All you need to do is look at your plant. It will tell you when it is ready to water, and I have an example here of a plant that is showing me it needs water. The leaves will start to wilt, and at this point it is important to check the moisture level in the soil because leaves can wilt for other reasons such as root rot, but sometimes pushing your finger into the soil around 3 centimeters deep will tell you if the surface is dry, but underneath the root ball of the plant may be still wet. So the best indicator of when your plant wants to drink is the leaves starting to wilt. African violets thrive on neglect and are happier with less water than too much water. If your plant is in a plastic pot, you can lift the pot and feel the heft. If it is heavy, it will indicate that there is still moisture deep in the soil. If it is lightweight and the leaves are wilting, it's time to water. Sometimes when the pot is lightweight, the soil, if dry enough, may shrink away from the side of the pot. If the pot is heavy, soil moist, and the leaves are wilting, this tends to indicate your plant is in distress. Something is wrong and may be caused by waterlogging, and in this situation, the last thing you want to do is to water it. So in this situation, you need to dry the soil out as soon as possible. So find the warmest position you can for your plant, but not in direct sunlight. Waterlogging stops air in the soil and the roots, which lead to progressive root death. Remember, wilting leaves doesn't always mean your plant needs water. So check these other potential causes first, and if all good, water away. Make sure you use room temperature water. You can even use slightly warm water. African violets hate cold water. Using cold water will slow down their growth. You want the water to be warm to the touch. If you accidentally get water into the crown of the plant, make sure you wipe it away with a cotton bud quickly so it doesn't cause any damage to the lovely new shoots coming through. If your plant's leaves get wet, it won't harm them unless direct sunlight hits the leaves when it's wet, and it will leave an unsightly mark. You can water from the top or bottom, both are okay. The best way to water from the top is to use a small watering can with a long slender spout so as to get right under the leaves. One problem with top watering is once your soil has dried out, it is difficult to re-wet it, and sometimes if you are top watering, the water will go down the outside between the soil and the pot and not wet the roots at all. In this case, you need to double check the water is penetrating the soil. If you choose to bottom water, just place your plant in a sink or bowl, fill it with approximately 5 centimeters of warm water. The water should come to about halfway up the side of the pot. Allow it to stand for approximately 30 minutes, remove it from the water, allow it to drain, and put it back in its place. 30 minutes may not be long enough, so you will need to experiment with your plants and your climate to see how long it takes for them to get a good drink. Please note this will alter throughout the winter and summer months. Obviously in winter they will need less frequent watering, and in summer more frequent. Once your plant is back in place, you may need to empty any residual water from its saucer. When bottom watering, you want to make sure your plant is getting enough water to the entire root system. Otherwise, if only the lower section is receiving the water, the top section of the root system will die off, leaving a restricted root system unable to support the plant, which will result in slow plant growth and short flower stalks, which will rarely bloom. If you are using a terracotta pot, please note that the soil will dry out faster in terracotta than plastic, so you may need to water more frequently. Another very important tip is if your soil is dried out, make sure you will wet the soil first prior to fertilizing. Otherwise, you can damage or burn the roots. There are several other factors affecting how often your plant will need watering: the soil being used, the location of the plant, the climate, the season, even the humidity. Unfortunately, there is no set schedule for watering an African violet. Every plant is an individual. Your African violet knows when it needs to be watered, and we as growers need to be on the lookout for these telltale signs. Please like and subscribe, and thank you for watching.